On day 2, this is still the beginning of the day. This is still maybe around noon. It was still light outside, but it was dim in the building because we were locked into the building. We didn't have very much light coming in. It was noisy. We can hear the inmates banging and screaming for help. I know because I work there that there's a lot of sick inmates, diabetic inmates. There's a lot of inmates that like to rape other inmates. So I couldn't imagine being up there. I have no clue what they're going through because no one's up there to stop whatever mayhem may be occurring. So when you hear them yelling and banging, you don't really know why. Um, we we were asked, me and another deputy or two were asked to go and speak with the inmates and let them know we're trying to get food for all of us. We're trying to get water for all of us. Just calm down. We'll be up with food and water. Well, myself was a popular deputy because I'm from the streets, and they know this. I know a lot of them. They wanted me to go because we know them, and go up there and like try to talk to them, and we were cut off and said, look, we love y'all. We know y'all cool deputies, but when we get out of here, we fucking you and your family up. So at this point, you don't even need to come back up here because y'all left us up here without food. So with that being said, there was really no need to go back upstairs because we know that we can't talk to them. This is only day 2. Anger. The look in the inmates' eyes were anger. Not everyone, because in prison there's always a leader, and it's what you would call the tier rep. Well, this is only one floor that we were able to access because we were afraid to go up the stairs any higher because we didn't know how far they had broken out. There's several barriers that they had to go through, but you can hear the movement and you know what areas they're in that they shouldn't have accessed yet unless they broke out thoroughly. So this conversation only happened with one set of inmates, maybe behind him 100 inmates or a few more, 150. They weren't happy with just the 24 hours of not having lights, food, or water. So it can only get worse from there. What went through my mind at this time that the inmate said what he said, which I like to note that this inmate was somebody that we can always rely on to do the right thing all the time. At this point that he said this, I kind of realized that the situation is going in a direction that none of us really thought would happen. This isn't happening in the history of the prison system in New Orleans. So I felt like we had lost control. I knew we lost control, and I don't believe the other deputies realized that we was in some kind of danger because we physically were mostly females. We couldn't control 800 and some inmates. Is how many inmates was in the building that morning because I did the count. So I know we had a massive amount of inmates, plus we had inmates from another city that we were holding till the storm passed. When we walked down the stairs, my legs literally became freaking jello because my gut told me that this was about to pop off real bad. And I just didn't know what to do. You know, I went blank. I don't really remember going down the stairs all the way. I just remember walking away and then telling the captain what they said. And then the look on his face scared the shit out of me because I'm like, so what are we going to do now? So, you know, but food came. We were excited because we're like, maybe we can get, you know, food up to them and that'll stop them. Man, they wouldn't even let us in the door to bring the food. We like, back up so we can give you the food. The minute we opened the door, they was gonna rush it. So we couldn't give them the food. So here it is, like 6 p.m., about to get dark outside, day 2. Yeah, that pretty much was the end of day 2. It wasn't a lot of activity going on. We still had the breaking out, and we found out other prisons, they were losing control as well. The inmates were breaking out as well. But that's kind of how it ended, like status unknown for everybody, what was supposed to happen next, because there was no help coming yet. What we were doing to stay occupied, well, we really didn't have to do much to stay occupied because they were constantly bringing in people that they rescued off the streets to the prison for us to protect, because there was nowhere else for them to go. And we couldn't even protect ourselves. So we were just trying to get them together. We had elderly people that needed depends and insure and medication, and everything was upstairs where the inmates were. The emotions of the deputies were just total disgust. Like, we was just so freaking disgusted because this man ordered us in here to come to work, did not have any food for us to eat, didn't have a backup plan, nothing. Everybody was just disgusted with him at this point. The mood of the citizens were, they were jovial. Like, "Ooh, I got out my house, girl. Thank you. I'm so glad y'all here and took us in." And I'm saying to myself, what? You really don't know what's going on over here. Nobody knew what was going on yet. I think our sheriff was too prideful to ask for help. And there was a sheriff that he had just got the seat from, who had been there 20-something years, and he had the resources to help us. And I think the new sheriff had too much pride to ask for help. Nobody knew. At this time, it was like a dirty secret, a dirty family secret. I know nobody knew because we didn't have contact with anyone. I'm sure that people thought everything was under control because prisons go through prisons go through hurricanes all the time. This shouldn't have been any different from any other hurricane. The normal protocol for a hurricane in a prison, which I experienced twice before working under this first sheriff, the initial sheriff, before the new sheriff took over. You bring your family there, it would be a more safer place than you even evacuating somewhere. The walls are sturdy. It's up to management, the people who's in charge, to make sure that you have everything you need. The previous sheriff would have so much water, so many cans of Spam, tuna fish, bread, crackers, everything that you need. You didn't have to come prepared. All you need to bring yourself and your readiness to work. This did not happen this time. What made this time different was the previous sheriff had 20-something years experience as that sheriff of New Orleans. This sheriff was a politician. He was elected to this office. He wasn't prepared. He had only been there a couple of months before Hurricane Katrina hit. He didn't know what he was doing. And I'm not sure why the higher up ranks didn't help him, or if he even allowed them to help him and guide him on what needed to be done. But he assured us that we had food and we had water, and it just wasn't the case.